And we are live. Welcome to episode 22 of RetroSlot.
23.
23 of the RetroSlot podcast. I misspelled it. I spelled it as Metroid on Twitch. I just realized that.
Perfect.
This is the spin-off of Metroid.
Yeah.
Oops.
It's very messed up. It's dark.
I'm a huge fan of the series, so I can't wait to talk about that game. But before we do that, why don't we talk a little bit about what you've been up to for the last 2 weeks?
Sure thing. Hi.
Hi.
So the last 2 weeks were interesting. My wife's job, her office got broken into while she was like alone in the office working on like catching up on some stuff
Like at
last
night?
weekend. Not this last weekend, but the weekend before.
Wow. That's
No,
scary.
it was straight up in the afternoon. It was like, I guess when she called me, it was like 5:30 or 6. So it happened around, I think around 5 o'clock. She
Did
was just,
she come in contact with the alleged criminals?
yeah,
Yeah?
because there was no like way to get away from it because there was like no locks on the doors or anything in the office.
Wow.
So it's like one of those big office buildings that like shares suites.
Yeah.
And, like, if you go to a place that's like a psychiatrist or something and it's like, "Oh, it's room 321," and you gotta go find it. It's basically like that. Um, but the person literally broke into their suite, and my wife was one of 2 people working in the entire building, like, the entire giant building. She was one of
Wow.
2 people in the entire building, and the homeless person, presumed homeless person, broke into that suite,
Alleged
and
houseless person.
yeah, homeless. I mean, he was carrying around a sleeping bag, so one can guess, but,
Was he
uh,
looking for something specific? Why did he break into that room specifically?
my wife said that, she found him or, like, found some of the things in the rooms kinda, like, moved around, like, there was, like, a Google Home or something that had gotten moved,
Wow.
so either he was looking for stuff or he was looking for a place to sleep, or she doesn't know exactly. She thought that he was coming down off of something. Like, he was high or something, and he was, like, covering his arms like this, but I when she told me the story, I freaked out. I was like, "'Cause anything could have happened." Like, she was there by herself, and she's not, she doesn't have any self-defense information or anything like that. The only other thing that she could have done is, like, locked herself in somewhere, but there was nowhere to lock herself in because there was no locks, like, on once you get inside the office, there's, like, no locks on any doors.
No kidding. That's scary.
So, yeah,
I'm glad she's okay.
yeah.
She is okay.
Uh, yeah, she's fine. Well, physically fine, emotionally shook up, but,
Yeah.
you know, it was weird. She texted me like, "Just to let you know, the office was broken into. I'm okay." I was like, "What?"
What'd
And
she
I
do? Did she
immediately,
call the cops or?
yeah, so when she texted me, like, the cops were already there. She said they took, like, 2 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
There's a whole rest of that story, but she basically got the guy to walk out on his own, and then she, like, locked the door behind him
Oh,
from the entire office
jeez. That door
building.
wasn't locked before. He just was
No.
able to walk right in.
Yeah, it was supposed to be locked, but it wasn't.
Oh God.
But he smashed through the window of their actual suite. Yeah, like,
Oh man.
it started her also she was, like, working on stuff, and all of a sudden she hears, "Ksh," and she's just like, "The hell was that?" You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's scary. I'm glad she's all right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So how was your 2 weeks, Briar?
Pretty good, pretty good. I've been trying to healthy up a little bit, right? It's like since my back has been on the mend, I've been trying to lose some weight and get more activity going. I think I told you I bought a electric bicycle.
Mhm.
I've been trying to ride that at least 10 miles every day, which
That's
isn't as
pretty
far
far.
as you think when you're on a bicycle. Like it's about an hour.
Okay, alright.
Right? So it's about an hour. I have like one of those Apple Watches that has the activity monitor on it,
Mhm,
and I'm just trying to fill up like the green bar on the Apple Watch that tells you you've done, the certain amount of exercise every day, right?
gotcha.
In a effort to try to just increase my overall health.
Mhm,
Um,
good.
I actually in chat, Hugaroon says, "How's your ass?" And I have gone through 3 seats.
And
The
how long?
original seat, I've had it for I don't know. I feel like a month now. The seat I had that came on it was far too narrow, and it was just like it was a bit, I would say, penetrating. Uh, so I got another seat. That didn't help, so I returned that seat, and then I got another seat. And the third seat seems to be doing the trick, makes it a little more comfortable. I may go back to the original seat at some point because this new seat is like one of those like wide boys, right?
Mhm.
But not having been on a bike in a long, long time, that you got to build up a little bit of. Geez, I don't even know what that is. Just it's not
Glute
calluses, but
glute muscles? Oh god, calluses. You got an
I don't
ass
know what
callus?
that is.
I didn't realize that they made bike butt plugs, bike suppositories. When you
But
s
I've been having a lot of fun with that and trying to just be outside more in a
Mhm,
general effort to. My biggest problem is I got into bad eating habits,
mhm,
eating a lot late at night. That
mhm,
has been very hard to break because my sleep schedule, I go to bed around 2 a.m. and then I want to wake up at 8 a.m. But you can't survive. I can't survive with 6 hours of sleep day after day. I really need 8. Like I'm just built that way. So if I stay up till 2 and then get 8, that means I start my day at 10, which is just too late, right? Like, I don't know. So I'm still working through all that stuff, but I'm trying. It's harder, I think, with like the COVID because everything's shutting back down because of the Delta variant, right?
mhm.
It's in Connecticut anyway. So we're trying to like get back to normal, but without any of the normal stuff, So I don't know.
Right.
All this stuff just makes it a little more difficult to try and live that normal life that you want to be living or that you remember living like pre-COVID. But I'm working on it. I'm trying to eat better. I'm trying to exercise more, and that's really been my focus. You
That's
know.
good. Yeah. My, wife just started on a new program where they send you out a bunch of food to eat,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's quite expensive, so we're probably not gonna be able to afford it for a long time, but she wanted to, like, jumpstart her system a bit, and
Mm-hmm.
they basically get it so you're eating 5 to 6 meals a day, like small meals
Oh wow.
and stuff, so they send you, like, all these bars and all these, like, single-serve meals, like, little packets that you put in the microwave and stuff. Um, so she's been doing that for about a month and feeling better. And I have kind of had to adapt similar things out of necessity because if she's trying to eat healthier, I can't just be like eating fast food all the time and stuff
Right.
and bringing that around her because that's not really fair. So
Yeah.
trying to figure out where my comforts lie in that as well, like eating more cold cut sandwiches and more kind of like whole foods and stuff is what we're going for.
Yeah.
Um, and she's been cooking a few meals. She made a chicken breast pizza the other day. Like one of the recipes in this system, it was taking ground chicken and like balling it up and flattening it, and then putting like mozzarella cheese and putting it in the oven for a while. And then it comes out, and because the chicken is kind of flat, it crisps around the edge like a pizza.
Nice.
And then like she had tomatoes and basil and pasta sauce that you put on it and stuff, and it was really good, actually. It was
Sounds good.
almost like a chicken what do they call that? Chicken carbonara or something, where it's like the chicken breast with the pasta sauce and mozzarella on top. It tasted kinda
Yeah.
like that. It was really good.
Sounds good.
So,
I
yeah, I
can't
get you.
I can't eat small meals. I think it's much like alcohol, unfortunately for me. Whereas
Yeah,
I'll go like I'll go all day without eating, but then when I start eating, I have trouble stopping.
yeah,
This is a
same.
similar experience with alcohol for me. It's like
Yeah,
I won't drink a beer for a week, But when I have a beer, like a beer, I want 3 beers or 4
Yeah.
beers or 5 beers.
Yeah.
That's why we Uber a lot when we go out on date night.
You wanna hate yourself. Yeah, I get it. It's the same way it's like the same way with alcohol as it is with food. You want regret to fill you the next day.
Yeah, yeah, I love that feeling. It's great. Um, we got some news. Should we jump into the news?
Yeah, sure. Not as much as last episode, but still some good stuff here.
Yeah, there's some
We're
good
gonna
stuff here.
save uh some of the better things for last, but
Better. You're going with
yeah.
better on this?
Some of the more interesting stories late till last. Is it Play Magi? I don't even know how to pronounce that. Is it Play
I think you
Magi?
nailed it. Yeah.
Okay, so Play Magi insists that the Polymega is going to be shipped soon. It
Fool
still
me once,
hasn't shipped.
motherfucker.
It still hasn't shipped, Briar.
I
Like,
know.
can you imagine dropping $500? I mean, I'm speaking as an analog like lover. Can you imagine spending $500 on something and not seeing anything for like 3 years?
Not 3 years, but I mean, how long did it take to get the analog NES? It was like 9 months.
Something like that, yeah. It's
Yeah, and that one
quite a
got
while.
delayed out of like summer into like December, right? So I could kind of relate, although analog has a history of delivering eventually,
That's right.
whereas Playmagi, not so much.
Yeah.
The
They're
screwed up
saying
thing about them is that we know these things exist because they sent them out to be reviewed last summer,
they made 20 of
2020.
them. Yeah, they made 20 of them.
Yeah,
We've heard we've heard they got sent to people to review, and those are the only ones in existence are those 20. It's gonna be the next thing on Heritage Auction to sell for $300,000 like the
right?
PlayStation,
Really?
Nintendo.
Yeah.
They are saying that September 12th is gonna be the ship date, like, to start, and that they should have the fulfillment kind of finished by the end of October, at least for orders that were from 2018 to April of 2020. If you pre-ordered after April 2020, they're saying it's delayed till at least the first half of next year.
Holy shit. Like, start thinking about those numbers. Pre orders from 2018 to April 2020,
Yeah.
almost a year and a half ago, was the last time you were able to get a pre order that's going to ship in September.
Yep.
It's not a good
It's a
look,
little
Playmaji.
crazy. That's a little crazy.
Yeah. And then all others are delayed to the first half of 2022.
At least is what it said.
Man. I mean,
I can't even
I get it.
imagine that
Making
many
stuff is
will.
hard, and especially during COVID. I get it.
Yeah, it's true.
But man, like this company just has seems to have been fumbling like this whole thing forever. It just doesn't lead to a lot of confidence.
Yeah. I have compassion for Play Maji, but at the same time, so many times with Kickstarters and other things, people have promised things and not delivered. So,
Yeah.
it's just I have more compassion for the people that have spent a lot of money and not gotten anything up to this point other than a bunch of stress about whether or not they're gonna get it.
Right. Like $500 is a lot of money to
Yeah.
just have sitting out there in somebody else's bank account.
Yeah. At the same time, part of it is nice with like the analog stuff to pay up front because then when it ships, you're like, yeah, I don't have to pay for it. Like there's so many, if you think about Xbox pre-orders, PlayStation pre-orders, you put it doesn't charge you until it ships. So you forget about it and all
Yeah.
of a sudden you get hit with a $500 charge. It's like, I wasn't ready for that. I would rather them take the money out when I pre-order because that's when I'm planning for that money to come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That bit me actually at the PlayStation 4 Xbox One launch because
Mm,
I don't like using credit cards because I'm an irresponsible person and I don't like paying the bill.
yeah.
So like I like to pay cash up front or like I don't like using credit cards.
Yeah.
And with both of those systems, I pre-ordered them on a debit card. Right? And then kind of forgot about it until launch. And then I was like, "Oh, okay, I have like $1,000 less now."
Yeah. Just bang.
Yeah. I think I lost my pre-order on the Xbox One because my debit card company blocked the charge. Actually, it's a long time ago though. I can't remember. Something happened.
Was
Something
that
always happens.
2013? Is that when those came out?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a long time ago now, huh?
yeah, yeah. It's a
Jesus.
minute. 2013. Why does that? Oh, that's when we bought our house. When we moved into this house. I was like, that name or that number is significant. All right. So limited run, I don't know if they've gotten into book publishing before, but they are publishing an SNES and Virtual Boy retrospective. They're publishing two separate books.
Yeah.
The SNES one covers the 31 games that were released the same year as the SNES, so 92. Um, Which is interesting because it's, like, all the early stuff, and then the Virtual Boy, of course, covers the every game in the library, all 14 of them.
There's only 14 Virtual Boy
Yeah.
games.
14, North American releases, yeah.
Is he only doing American, or is he doing worldwide releases? This is Jeremy Parrish. Jeremy Parrish wrote these books. He does what's that? Retronauts podcast. He used to be on One
Okay.
Up when One Up was like a big video game website. Um, he's like a well known like kind of retro aficionado historian. He does a great web series that I think is called. It's like Works, so it'll be SNES Works, NES Works on YouTube, and it'll take a game and do like a 20-minute video on each game in order of release for each system.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely ordering these. You gonna order these?
Uh, I'd like to. They're 34.99 for the standard ones, and the collector's edition are 69.99.
Nice.
So, in the collector's edition, they have, like, commemorative metal carts, and the Virtual Boy one has, like, these 3D glasses, and
Yeah,
they look really cool, but they're probably just gonna sit on a shelf. Like, I have a couple of couple of, like, books, but I just haven't really sat down and flipped through them yet.
yeah.
So,
I'll definitely read them. This looks really interesting to me. I've ordered a few of these, not from Limited Run or from Jerry and Parrish in the past, uh, but I've ordered a couple of like retro game books that feature a lot of like art and history on the games, and I end up really liking them. They're good coffee table books. You know, you just pick
yeah,
them up,
for
read a
sure.
couple pages. Good bathroom books. You know.
I'm not taking these in the bathroom. We have little children, those will end up in the toilet.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. The pre-orders go up. I think they went up today, actually, but
Yeah,
they're
they
not.
did.
It's not. It's not like a typical limited run thing where it's just gonna disappear after a certain amount of time. They've said that this is just gonna stay on the site. You'll be able to order it anytime you want.
Oh, nice. You know if these are, like, some of the first books that Limited Run has done?
I'm not familiar with them doing books in the past, no, but they hired Jeremy, I think last year during COVID, and he's been doing work over there. Um, so it just makes sense that they would publish the books. You know,
Right.
they do stuff like publishing. I mean, obviously it's different to publish a game, but I mean, how different can it be? Oh,
Yeah.
HBO.
Somebody comment on how much different it can be to
How much different can it be? Way different, probably. Right?
yeah.
Nothing like.
More things on Kickstarter, which we mentioned earlier. There's some hand-drawn game guides on Kickstarter, and I looked at the number of what they've raised, and it's insane. They've raised almost $200,000 in, like, I don't know how many days are normally on Kickstarter, but there's 25 days to go, and, their original goal was 20,000, and they're at almost 200,000.
Wow.
So basically, these are guides for Zelda, Metroid as like two separate ones, Zelda, Metroid, and then there's a third one that's got two games in it, and it's Contra slash Ninja Gaiden.
Man, that's good. These look awesome.
Yeah. So basically, the entire guide, think an actual game guide, a walkthrough, like maps, all that stuff. But every page is hand illustrated. So all of the maps are hand drawn. All of the like game art is hand drawn, right? It's super cool, and all the stretch goals that they some of the stretch goals they have, they're doing like gold lining on the book, and they're hardback books as well, which is
Oh
pretty
man,
cool.
these look really good.
Yeah. So they are cost wise $25 each, which is not horrible,
No.
or 65 for all three. And there was a tier where you could get like a concept sketch, but I'm pretty sure those sold out immediately.
Okay.
You get like a hand drawn, like actual sketch, but those are all sold out.
All right, I'm gonna get the 3 book bundle. That's awesome because you get like a $10 discount if you get the 3 book bundle.
Yeah.
Awesome. Those look awesome. I could
Yeah.
have really
So,
used that one, that Metroid one.
yeah, right? I need that right now. So, just as an example, the pledge 65 or more for all three has 1,900 backers, and the others only have like 3 or 400. But the slots for the ones with sketches were 200 total.
Oh wow,
So yeah, yeah,
that's really
fun,
cool. Like, what a great idea! Because it's
right?
like it's a piece of art all by itself, but then it's also like a usable guide. Like if you want to go back and play, any of these 4 games, like you can use this. It's a useful comic book.
For when we inevitably do the first Zelda at some point, probably too, or
Yeah,
Contra, or
yeah. We did Ninja Gaiden, right?
yeah, we
We could
did.
do it again though. Fuck it.
Ninja Gaiden 2. All right. Yeah,
Those look awesome.
pretty cool.
Hand drawn game guides.
So, yeah, hand drawn game guides on Kickstarter. That's straight up. It says it literally has a badge. It says unofficial and unauthorized. Unauthorized kind of concerns me.
I mean,
I wasn't allowed to do it, but you know what? I said, fuck it.
they're not using any of the art, right?
It's true. It's kind of in the what do they call that? Parody?
I guess. Yeah, get them before Nintendo does, I guess.
Nintendo's coming for them.
Yeah, right.
Right.
These look
Uh,
awesome. I'm
yeah.
really excited about those. I got a lot of books coming soon. 5 books. It looks like. Got some reading to do.
Can't
Oh,
imagine there's
speaking of that, I saw you post on Twitter that you got the Video Game History Foundation's like subscription to magazines, right?
I did.
Did you open it on stream already?
I
Is
did.
it
Hold on.
still bagged up? So if anybody doesn't know, you can subscribe to a service through the Video Game History Foundation, and they will send you a retro video game magazine. Not a new magazine that is about retro video games, but a video game magazine from like 1992 or something like that. And it comes at random. You don't know what you're going to get. It could be Game Pro. It could be video game and computer entertainment. It could be whatever. But they'll send you one per month. And I think the subscription is like $20 a month. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's 20 for the random whatever.
Yeah.
You can't do the other one anymore. Used to be
What's
able
the
to
other one?
used to be able to tell them that you wanted Nintendo Power or something
Oh,
like
okay.
that specifically, but you can't do that anymore. It's just random. I got a magazine from 1999,
Okay.
and I've never heard of this magazine in my life. But apparently, this was the magazine before another magazine. I'm not sure. It's called Expert Gamer.
I've heard of that one. Yeah. Codes, tips, and strats.
It's got what's his butt on the front? Stone
Stone
Cold
Cold.
Steve Austin. Yeah, so it has like a featurette. It had a featurette of like Legacy of Kain in here
Ooh,
and a whole bunch of other stuff. There's like straight up like a walkthrough section where they took a game and like did almost a whole walkthrough inside the magazine, which was really interesting.
that's
Interesting.
crazy. That kind of shit died with the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, magazines in general died with the internet, but that especially.
It's pretty
Certificate
cool.
of
It's got
authenticity.
yeah, it's got the
Authentic.
certificate. It's like it's a
Authentic.
magazine. Like what are you gonna think
Authenticity.
people are gonna authenticity, yeah. But it has that
Authenticity.
little sticker right there.
Yeah.
And I showed that on stream and they're like, "Don't open it. It's gonna be worth." I'm like, "It's
What do
not
you
gonna
mean
be worth
don't
shit.
open it?
It's a heavily used it's a heavily used gaming mag."
You've gone too far. You're not
Yeah.
opening used magazines.
Yeah, it's got like wrinkles on it and everything. It's not if it was like pristine, untouched or something, I might consider keeping it in here, but it's not. It's definitely not.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. You said that you get those monthly as well, don't you?
Yes. Yes, I do.
You should put those on your pickups and talk about them.
I should.
Yeah, I'd be interested. Have you gotten any Nintendo Powers, like, ever?
Yes. Yeah, I got one. It was
One out of how long?
I think only 4 months? 4
Okay.
of them, I think.
I was gonna
They're
say,
all
if you're gonna be like
downstairs in the
2
coffee table.
years, I would have been like, "No."
No. I mean, I would I I would expect more obscure stuff than like Nintendo Powers and
True.
EGMs. I told you my story about like my video game magazine collection, right?
Kinda, yeah.
I threw it away.
I originally had, Nintendo Power, but I'm pretty sure I had Nintendo Power subscription when they were, like, ending the subscription. I was subscribed then. I was, like, in middle school or something. It was whatever, 99, something like that, 2000.
You know, it's a really fun thing to do is you can go. I think it's the Internet Archive. I can't remember the website, but you can go and look at old magazines, right? And one of my favorite things to do is go to Electronic Gaming Monthly and look up a game like I don't know, RoboCop versus Terminator, right? That's a game that I'm always kind of coming back to, and you can see like what the reviews were, and then like I'll look at what other games they reviewed at that time and like see what they gave it because they had like the review crew where they gave 3 scores to
Mhm.
each game. Do you remember that?
I don't.
So they had a funny way of reviewing games is that 3 different people reviewed it, but they only had about a very short paragraph to talk about it and then put a score on it. So like for one game, for instance, RoboCop versus Terminator, one guy might have loved it and give it a 9, one guy might have hated it and given it a 6, and another guy would be like in the middle somewhere with like 7.5, and then they'll explain like what the thought process was behind their score, but in a
That's cool.
very short way, like just a paragraph. It was a fun way to review games or to read reviews on games because you got more than one person's opinion.
I can just imagine the comments that you would put in your small paragraph.
It'd be mostly dick jokes. Let's be honest.
You get like 140 characters, and you spent 100 of those characters with a giant. You just drew a giant penis
Well, the
out of
eggplant
letters.
emoji hadn't been invented yet.
Now I have to look that up. When was the eggplant? When was the eggplant emoji? Oh, banned? No, invented.
Wait, it's been banned?
No, I just pretext said banned. The eggplant emoji first debuted in 2010 and quickly became a symbol for the penis.
Yes.
That's what Google said.
2010. Really?
I
I'm
learned it
surprised.
on Google, Mom. All right. Well, uh, moving on. Next thing in the news is probably the biggest story for the last 2 weeks. A new world record again already has been set for the top sale of video
Woo.
video
Party
game
popper.
items. Woo! $2 million, Dr. Bigglesworth. $2 million for a copy of Super Mario Bros. I think it was like the third or fourth release because it doesn't have TM, but it is wrapped in cellophane. It's a 9.8 A plus graded, and it was privately sold on Rally, which Rally is another one of those websites where you can own a piece of a collectible. And people bought in for as low as $50 a share, and they valued it at 150K. And more than three quarters of the owners of those pieces voted to sell. Of course they did. They get like 12, 11, 12 times their money back. You know, drop $100 on this and you get like 1,100 back. That's dope. But yeah, so somebody now owns. They didn't say who bought it, just that it's sold privately and that Rally was the seller.
This is a sign of the apocalypse, right? This is a sign of revolution. There are people out there with so much money that they will buy the most popular game for the Super Nintendo for $2 million. There is too much of an income disparity in America. There is too much. Like, this is just upsetting at this point.
But this kind of disproves the money laundering thing because people gotta get paid for this. Like, the rally the people on Ra unless
Yeah,
unless
this rally
rally
thing seems super above board.
unless rally as a thing, like, doesn't actually sell to anybody and it's all just, fake.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not. I gotta be honest with you. I'm not that interested in it anymore. It's just now. It seems like every week, it's just another story of somebody spending like obscene amount of money on a video game that's in good condition, and I'm just like, I don't know. It was exciting the first time it happened, and now the second time I was like, oh wow, they beat it, and now it's like, well shit, are we gonna talk about this every time? This is fucking boring. Yeah, rich people do rich stuff, rich people things.
Headlines, "Rich people buy shit.
Yeah, for too much money. That's
Too
why you
much
can't buy a
tuna."
Porsche for a reasonable amount of money because of rich people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing it's more exciting to you because you're hoping that it drives up the price to like your game collection, right?
Well, not really hoping. It's not something that I was hoping for. I still am trying to, like, buy games and
Mm,
everything's going up, so it's tough.
that's true with
But,
everything now, right?
yeah. I'm more it's more exciting to me because it's just, like, I like watching it happen out of, like, curiosity and, like, where's it gonna go? What's the end game here? As opposed to, like, some personal, um, kind of stake in it.
Yeah,
I know what my stuff is relatively worth and stuff, and that's against the like, nothing that I have is ever gonna be this.
yeah.
So, it's interesting for me to see it. It's like watching 2 animals fight to the death at a zoo, like, it's just kinda
Now
interesting
we're
to
talking.
watch.
Uh, That's not good. Nature's metal on Reddit. It's pretty good.
Oh, no. You know of a site? Good lord. Fuck, of course you do. Good god. By the way, I'm totally gonna sidetrack here. I thought of you when I watched the, Suicide Squad movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Have you seen it, the new one?
yeah. I did. I watched it this weekend.
Did you notice what all the prisoners were wearing
No,
in the
what were they
beginning?
wearing?
You didn't notice it?
Crocs. They were wearing
Yes!
Crocs. I didn't notice.
They were all fucking wearing orange Crocs, like, matching
I remember
prison
thinking,
outfits.
no, that's not believable. They're not giving $50 Crocs to prisoners, right?
Maybe
They're
they're
giving them like fucking like knockoff Target brand or Walmart brand, like Chinese Crocs.
be careful. I mean, isn't, like, the yearly cost of a prisoner, isn't it, like, 30,000 plus dollars or something to keep
Oh,
them?
it's yeah, it's crazy expensive, yeah.
Yeah.
But we
So maybe they
privatized it, so now
yeah.
it's a money making industry, which it now incentivizes us to make more prisoners out of our population,
Well, no,
which is a great idea.
didn't they recently outlaw privatization of
I heard
prisons?
that they were looking at it. I hadn't heard that it happened. Has that happened? Because they should. It's a fucking monstrous way to make money.
I remember hearing
Sort of like
something a while
healthcare.
ago. I guess I don't know definitively what happened. I thought that they were looking at abolishing that whole thing,
They
if they
should. I
hadn't
hadn't
already.
heard that they did. There's a lot of money paying a lot of senators to not change that.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up. It's like a self-serving system.
Yeah. Also, going back to $2 million for Super Mario Brothers for the NES. I feel like when this started happening, it started like dampening my enthusiasm for actually collecting games. I don't know why.
Because you feel like it's just gonna be too expensive to
Maybe,
get the things you want.
maybe. I don't
People have
know.
compared this to, like, art sales and stuff. Somebody was like, "If you think 2 million's a lot, start looking at art sale," you know, type
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
But, I mean, because that's pretty much when you're buying a game that's, like, graded to 9.8, it's not like you're taking it out. It's gonna be sitting on a
No,
shelf. It's a conversation piece for somebody.
yeah.
It is a story, it is a piece of history. It's not So it's more the idea of the item and just kind of the air about it than it is the actual fact that it's a video game, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So it's pretty much art at this point if you're buying it for that purpose for that
I
much money.
suppose that's true. Uh, so Terra Onion released the Super HD System 3. This is a follow up to the previous, I think it was called the HD System 3. I'm not sure actually what the old one was called. The new one is a device that plugs into the back of a TurboGrafx 16 or the Japanese version of that same console, and it does a bunch of different stuff. It has an HDMI out. It has RGB out, so you can use it with like OSSC or a RetroTink, or hook it up to obviously like a CRT monitor. It also emulates the CD drive for that system, so you can load ROMs onto this for the Super Graphics, for the TurboGrafx CD, or regular TurboGrafx games. It does a ton. What I think is so interesting about it is that you're still using technically original hardware, but you have the ability to play ROMs from Super Graphics or Turbo CD, and you get HD out. Pretty cool.
This is cool. Did we talk about this a while ago, like before they launched it?
Maybe that sounds like something we might have done.
So, but if anything, it looks like it's now available for shipping
Yeah, you
from
can
the
buy one.
UK, I believe.
I want
Those
to say
are
it's not the UK.
what is that
Andorra.
symbol?
Where's Andorra? Google. Where is Andorra?
That's the euro, that symbol.
Andorra is located in the high mountains of the Pyrenees between France and Spain.
Is that considered the UK?
No,
Okay. Okay.
somewhere in the European Union it would
Yes.
appear. I'm not sure where they're located. I've ordered stuff from them in the past. They're the ones who sold me the mode, which is a basically an add-on device for a Sega Dreamcast or Sega Saturn that allows me to load ROMs onto a hard drive and replace the spinning disk drive. It's called an ODE, an optical disc emulator. I've been
Nice.
very happy with it.
So this is confirmed, not a catfish scenario.
No, I've
Good.
ordered stuff from these
All
guys.
right.
Not everybody loves them, but the retro game community is a pretty spicy bunch.
They are not opinionated at all.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So that thing's really cool. If you're looking to play, TurboGrafx games on original hardware, makes it super convenient to do it.
Nice. So it's almost like kind of a mix of a analog system with OG hardware.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. It's pretty neat.
It's also
And then
almost $300.
yeah, it's expensive, but it does a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how much would a mod cost for a console just to get HDMI out? Probably 100 or two, right?
A hardware model and actual like
Yeah,
yeah, put it to the board. Yeah,
and then
it's like
plus you get the ODE or the ROM capability, which is pretty good. Oh,
nice.
it's expensive, but it seems worth it. Really cool news here is the Saturn core is being developed and it's nearing beta. They've actually shown gameplay for the first time, which is dope. There is no public beta yet, so you can't load it on your Mister yet. But man, this is kind of out there. Like this, a lot of people didn't think that this generation of consoles would ever be able to go to the Mister. Not only because of the complexity of the consoles themselves and like mapping out each individual chip to pour over to the Mister, but also they weren't sure if the Mister hardware would be able to handle like the Saturn, the PlayStation 1, or the N64. So this is really, really just good news,
Yeah.
We also know
No,
the
I was
PlayStation Core is in development, so Go
I'm
ahead.
I'm just, like, fantasizing now,
Yeah.
like, N64 when.
Who cares?
I'm watching this video. They have Earthworm Jim from the Saturn. I think it was what is it? Was it called like the collector's edition or something like that
I'm not familiar. I don't know.
for Earthworm Jim and or maybe not. But it's really interesting. It's got like I don't know if this is just because the beta and they're still working through some stuff, but it's got like a lot of particles across the picture
Yeah,
on the top of that link. I don't know if that's just something that they're working on getting out.
but it's working, right?
Yeah,
Like the rest of it, once they get something like this happening where they can actually start playing games on it, like it's a matter of time.
right.
This is really exciting.
It is very exciting, and because the Mister remind me, it is, an FPGA piece of hardware that you can load ROMs onto, basically, and so the ROMs think that they're playing it on an actual piece of hardware, correct?
Correct. The FPGA chip actually hardware emulates the chips that were originally in the hardware. So effectively, you're playing it on original hardware, but you're playing it on this programmable chip, which is but it's over my head, honestly. But what you get is very low latency. You get extremely accurate emulation. It's basically what analog is doing, but with the Mister, you're not paying for individual devices for each console. You buy one device, and then you download the software that programs the device to emulate all the different consoles. And you can't play cartridges, obviously.
Right.
Analog devices, you can play cartridges. It's very similar. Analog devices and Mister are very, very similar, but they have a couple of key differences. Honestly, the price is one of them. It's way
I'm
cheaper to get a
wondering
Mister.
yeah, I'm wondering if, like, the folks at Mister and, people at, like, Analog have conversations
I
or
don't.
share information or anything like that.
I don't get the feeling that the people who do stuff for Mister particularly like the people at Analog.
Oh,
So I think so. There's different people at Analog, right? There's the people. Well, there's the guy Kevin Keftris. I can't remember his last name. Who actually programs the FPGA and writes the cores for the analog devices. I think he's pretty well regarded. But the business dealings, people don't love the way that Analog actually releases consoles, the way what you like about giving them your money up front and then waiting 9 months and getting your product while they keep your money for 9 months. A lot of people don't like that. I think that's just different strokes for different folks. But a
yeah,
lot of people are not huge fans of the Analog company. A lot of people are real bitter right now about the Pocket too.
yeah. We're supposed to get that, like, in a month or something,
We shall see,
right?
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been
I'm
reading
trying to
about that thing
remember.
since
Was it September?
2018.
Was it September? I have to look that up because we
But yeah,
haven't gotten
getting
an
this.
update in a while.
No, that's the other
October.
thing about them is they don't talk. Their
October.
Twitter, they tweet every day, but they tweet gifs of video games. They don't.
They're very good. Yeah, they're very good gifs of stuff,
They are
but
very
yeah.
good, but a lot of people are like out there with like $1,000, like you know, having given Analog $1,000 waiting for their product, and like Analog is just like dead quiet, or
Mhm.
they're like, I really want to get like this thing that's out of stock right now. Let's say like a Super NT, right? I was looking for a Super NT and look on, Analog's website, and that thing goes for like $190 or $200 when it's in stock. But when it's not in stock, your only option is to go like eBay or other sellers like that, and it's like twice the price, three times the price. So you're always like, are you guys going to make this again? Because it has not been in stock for like a year, and they don't respond to that. They don't tell you what their plans are. So you're just kind of left in the wind to flop around a lot when you're dealing with Analog.
It's funny you say that too, because I remember the other day seeing it on Twitter, but now I just double checked. I didn't put this in the news, but Analog actually has a restock right now that you can order the Super NT, Mega SG, and the DAC. Right
Yeah.
now, they are in stock. I just looked. Who knows how long they're gonna last, but yeah, it's the classic one, the Famicom looking one, and the black one are all in stock right now for the Super Nintendo.
I think that does it for news.
Yep.
Should we talk a little Metroid? Should we get into it?
Yes.
Should we get our
Let's do
Justin
it.
Bailey on?
Oh gosh. He wants to see Samus in her undergarments.
Okay. All right. Let's get into that. What do you think about that? Okay. Like, all right. So anybody who doesn't know, if you beat Metroid, it times you how long it takes you to beat it, and depending on how much time it takes you, you get a few different endings. And by endings, I mean you get to see Samus, the star of Metroid, in various states of undress. First of all, it was shocking when I was a kid to find out that she was a woman, right? Which because it
Mhm.
was unprecedented at the time.
Yeah.
All characters in video games, almost all of them, were male, and in there was no clue to the fact that she was female, so that was a surprise. But then they continue to undress her. Like, first she just takes her helmet off and she's got a head of hair, long hair. Then she takes her whole jumpsuit off, her whole armor off, and she's got like a bodysuit. And then she gets down to like a bikini. What do you think of that?
I think it's underwear, but yeah, I mean, I would hope that our video game protagonists are wearing undergarments.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's really funny. I feel like it's some kind of what I didn't look up is if this was intentional on Nintendo's part or if it was some like secret Easter egg that the coders put in that
No, no,
Nintendo
it was
wasn't privy
intentional.
to. No, but I mean, did Nintendo know about it
Yeah,
before they signed off on it, you
they
know?
knew.
Okay. Those some horny bastards.
Let's not forget, Nintendo hasn't always been the family friendly company that they are now, right? Is they at one point were running like I'd have to do research on the exact wording of this, so I'm not even gonna say it because I don't know the exact wording of this, but basically strip clubs in Japan.
Yeah.
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 Anyhow, I always thought that was weird. Like at first, I was like, "Well, that's really cool that they made like a female protagonist. It's like unprecedented." But like, it always kind of bugged me. Like, why did they have to strip her down to her underwear?
It does take a little bit of the what's the word? Respect
Yeah,
away from the character. Like you think about it and it's cool that there was a woman protagonist, but it almost feels like they found some way to still kind of what's the word for it? Like dumb her down a little
yeah,
bit,
yeah,
which is very strange. But I mean, it was also 1987, so
yeah.
things were a lot different back then. But it doesn't really
That's true.
excuse that. It's just really weird.
Anyhow, this
I
game
mean,
doesn't age
yeah,
well,
no,
right? When I played it originally, it was new, and I loved it. I held this game up right there with the Legend of Zelda and like anything else on the NES. I thought this game was phenomenal because it was unlike anything else on the NES when it
mhm,
came out, right? Because this was an early game on the NES.
yeah,
It was it had the all the exploration of a game like Zelda, but it had this kind of sci-fi, dark universe, alien inspired, like Alien the movie inspired kind of world, and it was, I mean, it was completely original in video games at the time. Like it really, it felt like an adult, right, as opposed to Mario that it was for like kids, right?
right. Yeah, I mean, they used aliens as inspiration to this, the
That makes
movie.
sense. Is that why
So,
Ridley is called Ridley? Because of Ridley Scott?
probably. I don't know if I looked that deep into it, but they definitely were talking about the inspiration of it and, kind of the character models and stuff. The alien yeah, the Ridley alien was definitely modeled after the Aliens movie, kinda that long head situation going
Yeah.
on.
Even the Metroids kind of being a little bit like face suckers.
Right. Yeah. So how did you play this game?
I played it two ways. I played it off the original cartridge on the analog uh, NT Mini, and I played it on the Switch, which is definitely the way to do it because on the Switch you can use the save feature of the Switch, right? Is you can actually save your game. You can save your game in progress. Whereas
Right.
if you're playing on a cartridge, you have to use the password system, which sucks. Not only because you have to like either write down or take a screenshot of the password and then input it when you want to resume, but also when you input the password, you start with all the stuff you had, but it starts you at the beginning of the game,
Right.
which
So you got to
sucks.
find your way back. Yeah. And it took me like I wiped fairly early, and then you start and you go back through thinking that you're starting all over and you're like, "Wait, the thing's gone. Oh, I can actually still do that stuff. Oh, I still have missiles." Like it took me a second to realize that it saved
Yeah.
that stuff. Um this is a good example of a good game that is hidden behind some bad like UI and some bad systems. Like not having a map is pretty detrimental to this game. It's
Yeah.
manufactured
I mean, no
difficulty.
games had maps though at
Right.
this time.
Well, Zelda did, right? Or I guess Link to the Past did. Did the original Zelda?
I don't think the original Zelda had a map. I think it came in the box.
What about like Final Fantasy?
I'm not familiar enough with Final Fantasy to tell you that.
Okay.
I mean, there's an overworld in Final Fantasy that you can
Yeah.
scroll around, I think, but I honestly I'm not sure. But I mean, the concept of an in-game map, I think, just wasn't a thing at this point.
Right. And they were still fairly limited by the hardware at that point too.
Yeah,
So
this game was originally built to be on the Famicom disk system, so it had to be cut down to 128 kilobits.
it's not big at all.
No, it's fantastic what they achieved with such limited space. It wasn't until later that they released it on a cartridge. They really regretted they had to cut a lot out of this game to get it onto the and it shows to get it onto the disc system. A lot of the animation was cut out, and it really upset the developers. Like
Mm,
really upset the developers because they spent so much time working on the animation. You can see that the animation is kind of
janky.
rudimentary.
Yeah. And I mean, on that subject too, they took a lot of the characters and just changed their colors.
Yes.
So it saved a lot of space there for
Yeah.
them to kind of have different areas that are basically the same uh sprites but just a different color kind of thing. So it used a lot less memory.
They even said the concept of freezing an enemy in air and using them as a platform was like a space saving technique,
Yeah.
which, if you think about it, is crazy, right?
Yeah.
The game plays, I think, pretty good. Like it's not. I don't think the best playing game of the NES era, but it's not bad. Like it feels pretty good. You get used to the jumps, and you can stick the landing where you can place Metroid. You can place Samus where you want to place her. Like
Mhm.
every time you jump, it feels a little like floaty. And the fact that you can't crouch and shoot, like I
Yeah.
finished Super Metroid last year, so I just played Super Metroid. So I'm so used to the feel of that game coming back to the original Metroid. It really does feel like a step back. Like not being able to crouch and shoot means that there's just enemies that are walking toward you that you have to avoid, right?
Yeah, you just can't do anything with them.
Yeah, there's strategies to dealing with them is like you wait for them to crawl up on a wall
Yeah.
or like the enemies that come down at you, you really try and like position yourself directly under them because you can shoot straight up. Um, and I cannot play this game without a turbo controller. Like I don't know if you can, but I need turbo on my controller to shoot fast enough to take out some of the enemies who are like just dive bomb you.
Yeah. I was trying to sync my 8-bit do controller to my Switch and I could not get it to work.
Oh, really?
I just ended up using the
Was it one of these?
Pro controller. Well, the one that I have of that will not work on the Switch because it's apparently the older one, the 2.4G. But
Mm-hmm.
I also tried syncing
Bluetooth one?
the 8-bit. SNES controller, which I even, like, put the new firmware on it, and I just couldn't get, like it just wouldn't recognize it. I don't know what I felt very inept
I
getting
got the
that to work.
new Pro 2 controller from 8BitDo, and this one actually has a switch on the back of it to like switch between
Oh,
Switch mode, Xbox mode, D
yeah,
mode.
this one doesn't have that.
Right, you have to use like a button combination on the older ones to like
Yeah.
wake it up in like a certain mode. Yeah, so I did use this 8-bit controller that has a turbo function on it to fire rapidly, and that increased the playability of the game. I remember playing this when I was a kid and being absolutely fascinated with it. I can't remember if I beat it when I was a kid. Like the memories of that are very hazy for me. I definitely saw the ending of it because I was familiar with the naked, not naked, but like undressed Samus. And I also remember the Justin Bailey code where you could input Justin Bailey as your password and start the game with Samus in like not underwear but like a skin suit, like a skin tight suit. I don't know. I like this game, but I don't have a lot. I don't like to play it that much. This game is basically the start of the Metroid series, so I'm happy it happened. I'm happy that it's out there. But what they did later with Metroid is they just improved on it so much, right? With
Yeah.
Super Metroid, they gave us a map. The power ups were much better. The graphics were way better. Like everything felt a lot like smoother. You could crouch to shoot things that were low. You just had more like you had more control over your character. Whereas in Metroid, it feels very rudimentary. It's obviously the first time they tried it, but the act of playing it back in the day was just like it was this open world where you didn't know where to go. You really had to like experiment and just kind of like figure it out. Graph paper was definitely a handy item to have back in the day for a lot of games. And nowadays, like you're just not used to doing that stuff. That stuff is all handled for you by the game. And it's hard to go back. So for my playthrough, I downloaded a map of the whole game, and then I also basically was watching like a speed run, so I knew
Mhm.
where to go because once you're in this game, there's so many areas that look identical to each other. It's very
Right.
hard to navigate based off of memory or based off of intuition. Like it's really just about like kind of banging your head against the wall
There's a lot of backtracking too,
a ton. And there's
of
not like
trying to
fast
remember,
travel or
okay,
anything.
yeah, which column of the map was I in during that, and how far do I have to go back, and
Yeah.
I I started with nothing, and I got to the point where I just, like, got completely lost, and I was like, "Oh, I can't open that door." I was like, "Alright, I'm opening up a guide. I can't do this
Yeah.
anymore."
Yeah.
So, I found, like, a step-by-step guide. The problem with the guide was, it was, like, taking me through shortcuts and shit. So, there's some stuff where you can, like, shoot through the ceiling in certain areas and, like, jump up and freeze an enemy and jump up and, like, get a power up that you're probably not supposed to have that early in the game and stuff, and then it just started feeling kind of not inauthentic, but it just didn't feel like I was doing it the experience that was kind of, designed for, and then I just kind of felt a little lost in, like,
Yeah.
what to do next. But,
I get that.
um, it definitely feels like the skeleton to an amazing game. Like, it's got so many revolutionary ideas for the time, and like you said, the combat is solid, but yeah, there's a couple of little nuances that are frustrating with the enemies and stuff. There's another thing that happened to me multiple times where I'd open up a door with the missiles, and then you'd have the little crawlies go in, and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go through the door," but the crawlies would come back and damage you, damage you, damage you, damage you. Like they did you like 5 times.
Yeah.
And then you go to the other side, and you're like, "I'm basically dead." It's really weird things would happen that were a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, strange interaction between when I'm jumping and hit an enemy too. Sometimes it would shoot me back. Like it
Right.
would like I would get pushed back. Sometimes I would just like sit on the enemy and continue to take damage. And sometimes I would just like kind of jump through it and then be able to keep going. It was really inconsistent like that.
Yeah. But, the progression in this game is really good. It makes me wanna play Zero Mission, which
Hmm.
I didn't realize this, but Zero Mission was basically the remake of this where they put it in SNES graphics, and they added. I imagine there's a map, and some other things. I would bet there's a map if it's a remake, but it's Metroid Zero Mission is essentially the upgraded version of the original Metroid, and I didn't realize that before, doing research on this. So that's on the Game Boy Advance. I own it, but I have it sealed, so I can't really
Oh,
play it, so I'd have to find a playable copy. Um, and I imagine when the Pocket comes out, we'll probably be playing more handheld stuff, but
yeah.
there's a lot of really cool notes about this game too, but I don't wanna cut off, like, the play part of it. So how far did you end up getting?
I got well, I technically beat it. Like I beat Mother Brain, but I did it by kind of cheating it. Like you said, by going through
Speed running
walls and
stuff?
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically I followed because you can speed run this game in about an hour and 20 minutes. And if you follow a guide like that, you can do it by just watching in a couple hours. But I only did that on Sunday. I had been pecking away at the game, and I did that on the original cartridge.
Mhm.
But I had been pecking away at the game on the Switch for I don't know 3 or 4 play sessions, and honestly, I didn't get that far because without having a map like right there, like it's not a game that I found incredibly compelling to play like while I was on the couch just playing it, right? Like I really felt like I needed supplementary material, like a Nintendo Power with like
Mhm.
like a full
Yeah, right.
guide. You know what I mean? It's like it's very difficult for like with modern sensibilities to be able to just navigate that world without help. So I just I couldn't it couldn't keep my attention until I like really like sat down and focused on it. I put like a guide up. I pulled up the whole map so I could like literally see like where I had to go and where I was, and that made it a
Mhm.
lot easier to navigate. Um, so yeah, I didn't beat it because I cheated, you know.
Right.
um, and I didn't make it that far when I wasn't cheating. So it's like
Yeah.
I kind of don't know how to answer that question to be honest with you.
So there's a lot less boss fights in this one too versus,
Yeah,
like, all the other Metroid games.
yeah.
Um,
And they're not spectacular like they are in Super Metroid. Super Metroid,
right.
they're like these bombastic boss fights, and you got to learn brand new mechanics, like in that room when you're you're fighting the
Mhm.
boss. In this, they're pretty straightforward. Throw missiles at the boss.
Briar was like we were talking before the episode, about, like, what to do next episode or and stuff, and he's like, "Well, what if we just did Super Metroid?" And I was like, "Well, you wanna do that already?" I was like, I don't know." So but I imagine it'll probably be on our list,
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
to get it at some point, not too distant. I do have that, and it's that's an incredibly pretty game too, so just being in
It
that
sure
world would
is.
be fun.
It's
I
a,
haven't played through Super Metroid either, so
it's
I
so
should
much
just
more playable. Like it just makes sense where you have to go much more of the time. Sometimes it can still be confusing. I still had to look up guides when I was playing Super Metroid to find out where am I supposed to go next.
right,
Because some of this stuff could be obscure. Like you had to put a bomb in a specific space to
right,
blow a block
yeah,
up to continue on your quest. Again, though, like I blame a lot of that stuff on Nintendo Power.
yeah.
It's like they were trying to sell Nintendo Power subscriptions, as far as I could tell. So they put these game guides in, and they said, "Well, we could do stupid stuff like this because there's going to be a game guide out with it."
Well, yeah, it's almost similar to Link to the Past that way. Like, how the fuck would I know to put a bomb there if I didn't have a guide? You know what I mean? Like, there's literally next to no way that you would just figure that out organically, and that it's
Yeah,
kind of frustrating when you're going back to games now, because it does kind of require you to have some kind of literature, which in some ways it's nostalgic to do that because it's what we used to do. But on the other hand, if you're just wanting to complete it fresh without previous knowledge, it's very difficult.
yeah.
It's a little
One of the
frustrating.
saddest things about Metroid to me is how it's kind of just like this like stepchild in Nintendo's lineup, right? It came out around the same time as Zelda and Mario, but it's not treated with the same reverence as those more popular titles are. Like it just doesn't seem to be that popular inside Nintendo. that they don't do like a big blowout for the 35th anniversary. They don't do like big, you know, cool stuff for Metroid. And like the games come out much more infrequently, right? It's like there's not necessarily going to be a new Metroid game for every console generation. Like there's a Zelda or a Mario.
Right.
In the in America, Metroid seems popular, but I don't know if it just doesn't sell well, or if just it doesn't hit with Japanese gamers as much. I don't really know what the answer is there.
Right. This is not me judging anybody, but I'm curious if the mascot thing never really sunk in because Metroid Samus is a human, which like, you think about it, Mario is also human, but he's like this kind of almost bigger than life character. You have like Sonic who's not, and then you have Link who is human, but he's I don't know, maybe it's the same, but could it be because Samus is a woman that it never really caught on as her as a mascot? Or, maybe it's because it's a darker game than like Mario and Zelda.
It was
Is
darker,
Yeah.
right?
So
It was definitely like a more mature game.
yeah, so I'm curious if that plays. It would be interesting because the only people that know that information would be like the marketing team, the ones who have the information as to, you know, what type of age players are playing these games and what age of players have more influence because Nintendo is sticking to the stuff that has more influence on what's going to sell games. So
Yeah.
a certain age range has more power and all this, that, and the other. Who knows for
Regardless, I'm
sure?
looking forward to Metroid Dread later this year.
Yeah,
That's gonna be dope. I can't wait.
yeah, looks really cool. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to play this one because of that one coming out. So
Yeah.
give us some backstory and whatnot. And speaking of backstory, I didn't know this before, but Samus was raised by birds.
Yeah, the Chozo.
She was raised by space birds, and those space birds are also the ones that created the Metroids to begin with.
It's like
Like,
the flood, right?
yeah, it's like, "Mom,
In
Dad,
Halo.
what the fuck did you do? Why?" Um, they originally were gonna make a Metroid 64 as well, which I thought was interesting, but they couldn't, like, figure out what to do with it, in 3D space. They're like, "I don't know how to handle her in 3D space." There's a euphemism there. Um, but yeah, I thought that was kinda interesting. And so we talked about how she's a woman. That decision didn't come till after the game was in development. I have the original game here with the manual, and in the manual, it uses he as the pronoun of Samus.
That was probably written by an American who didn't know,
Right.
right?
The only other thing that I could think of is that Nintendo was trying to like surprise the player or something, but at the same time, logistically speaking, I feel like it was just a lack of foresight. Um, Also on the box, it says two-player alternating game.
Yeah, you just hand the controller over to your brother.
I mean, that could be an eight-player alternating game at that point,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it's endless.
I'm curious if they were ever planning to make this kind of like a la Super Mario Brothers 3 where you could have, you know, a different version of Samus that you could play through. Because like when you change your weapons and stuff, it changes the color of your suit a little bit. So it'd be interesting if they had made originally those sprites to do like a two-player thing. Um, this the game was originally going to be called Space Hunter because
Yeah.
that's what Samus is.
Yeah. I wonder if the game. I wonder which is a better name. Because Space Hunter, it's kind of generic, but a lot of games had generic names back then. Metroid, at least Metroid is like, there's nothing else called Metroid.
Right.
I guess there was speculation that it was Metroid is the combination of Android, obviously, because Samus looks like an android when she's in her suit, and then Metro, like a subway system, which kind of reminds you of like all the tunnels underground, like Metroid,
Mhm.
which I thought was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Uh, it's weird with the naming stuff because, the game's called Metroid, but the main character is Samus. It's
Yeah,
similar to Zelda. everybody used to call Link and still, sometimes does call Link Zelda. But the
His name's
game,
Link, Mom.
so it's like this is like, the main character's not Metroid, it's Samus. But
Yeah,
um,
named after Pele, the soccer player.
really, Samus
Yeah,
was? I didn't
yeah.
realize that. There you go. Did you know that the final boss room was right above like one of the earliest rooms in the game? Is that
Yeah,
kind of
only
fucked?
because of watching cheating guides, though.
Yeah. Or if you had like a map, right, you could see that the
Yeah.
final room was right there. Um, there was gonna be a Metroid TV series that never made it out. There's actual animation cells that exist
Really? When
in
was
the
that?
world. Huh?
When was that? In like the 80s, 90s?
That's a good question. I think it was supposed to be around the time that the Super Mario Brothers TV show was
Oh, so it
around.
would have sucked.
Hey, I liked that show, sir. That was my childhood, man. I enjoyed that show. Damn it.
Have you seen the new He-Man TV show on Netflix? I think it's
I
on
haven't.
Netflix.
Is it good?
Oh no, no, it's
Are
not.
they like starting to sell He-Man toys
I
again
think
or
so.
something?
Yeah, I think so. There's a new Transformers TV show too
Oh, yeah. I
on
mean,
Netflix.
Transformers makes sense because they've had the movies going for a long time and all that stuff. They've probably had the toys going for a long time too.
I think that toys are definitely still going for Transformers. They have
I
like the
wonder if
expensive like master ones too that are like really cool.
those are some of the best like toys ever made, in my opinion.
Yeah, they were
Yeah, the
really
fact
awesome.
you could transform them into robots and turn them back into cars and stuff. Like as a kid, it was the best thing ever. I never owned any. My brother had some.
Really?
Um, but yeah, I wonder. I'd be curious to know, like, on the list of top toy kind of series ever in the history of the world, where Transformers stacks up because it's got to be up there.
It's got to be right because it was really popular here, but I think it was really popular in Japan as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
I
and they
mean,
have like those Power Rangers ones too in Japan that are super cool. Those toys
yeah,
they like connect to bigger and can connect them and stuff like that too. um, the board for the actual cartridge has a slave slot. Jesus, a save slot, similar to the original Zelda game, where it's got save states and stuff, but there's no battery in it. If you look at the board, there's a little slot there. It says save bat, and there's no actual battery in it. But for the Famicom, because I believe this used the disk system,
right.
you were able to save pretty much anything from the disk system. You were able to save from Famicom.
Yeah,
So it's weird that they turned it into a password system for the US.
yeah. I guess they did that because they couldn't. Nintendo had to make a decision. It was either Zelda or Metroid that was getting that battery,
Mm,
and it was just a cost thing. And
interesting.
obviously, they made the right decision.
Did
Probably
they come out at the same time?
about the same time. Yeah,
Hmm. Zelda, I feel like Zelda is gonna be if we when we go back to Zelda, it might be a frustrating game to go back to for similar reasons to not having a
probably.
map and all that stuff.
Yeah, probably. I remember playing Zelda as a kid and getting really frustrated in a couple of spots. I think it was Dungeon 7, if I remember correctly, that I could not find where to put a bomb specifically.
Mhm,
I think my mother, I was so frustrated that my mother and we sat there in front of the TV and we just inspected, because there's only 4 walls, right, on every dungeon wall in the original Zelda,
mhm,
and we just inspected them all for cracks because obviously I'd been through that so many times. I couldn't find the one wall with the cracks that I had to put the bomb
mhm.
in front of. So she finally helped me find it, and then I was able to progress in that game. I was so frustrated though.
It'd be interesting to find out because I have not heard anything about this, but you mentioned earlier about how the fact that they had Nintendo Power and all that stuff. They also had the 800 number that you
That's
could
right.
call and spend fucking 3.99 a minute.
Yeah,
Like, what part did those existing play in the design of the games?
yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
even if they weren't intentionally obtuse to cause you to do something like that, like a designer could at least say, well, I mean, if they can't figure this out, they can just call the line. Like we don't have to fix this.
'Cause, like, that can't happen anymore in game design. You think about it, and when game designers are playtesting their games, if there's a frustration point where the person just doesn't know and they wanna give up, like, they fix it. They do something, they put something in the background to point you in that direction. They have some character who tells you about where to do it, like.
On side quest yesterday, we just had the developers for Grime on talking about the
Mhm,
game, which is a Metroidvania.
mhm.
So they were talking to how they added save fast travel after the game launched based on player feedback.
Yeah.
Like that's a you can't do that on the NES.
No, but, like, it's really interesting because game design has evolved so much. It's like you want
Yeah.
a person and the question, I guess, is it a problem with game development kind of progressing, or is it just the general notion that people have smaller attention spans nowadays?
Well, I would
Um
say at one point they overcorrected, right? It's like specifically in the like the GameCube era, in like the Wii era, there was so much tutorialization of
yeah,
every aspect of a game.
they
Zelda was
overcorrected.
infamous for this, right? Is that it would ruin a game. Like it would just be like you were constantly telling me what to do, or like I pick up a rupee, and every time I pick up a rupee, you tell me what it is and how to spend it. It's like it's so frustrating.
Yeah,
Like they overcorrected. I think that's a
yeah,
lot of the reason like games like Dark Souls are so popular is because that was the reaction to game designers kind of smoothing stuff out to the point where there was no hangups. Right?
mhm,
It's like you look at a game like Uncharted, you don't have to be very good at a video game to beat that game. It's almost like watching a movie that just lasts longer. Like occasionally you got to do the shooting stuff or like do the climbing stuff, but neither of those are too difficult. Like so I think there was an overcorrection. It probably goes, like a sine wave through the years where shit gets too hard and there's a correction to that, and then shit gets too easy and there's a correction to that.
right. I still have yet to, and I don't know if there's any way to kind of reframe my brain. I would like to get to a point in my brain where I enjoy the discovery of it and like having a map and figuring that stuff out. But to me, with kind of how much time I've spent playing video games the last decade or so, I've gotten so used to a certain way.
Yeah,
And going back to playing these original games that are very almost painstakingly forcing you to discover stuff over time.
yeah.
Like I
It's just
want
a different world. Games were new back then, so that like a lot of this stuff hadn't been discovered yet. But also, I feel like you people got games way less frequently, so you had more time with the
yeah.
game. So you would bang your head at a game for months because you weren't getting another one.
Like during these episodes, generally I have a few hours to play total and I
Yeah,
want to enjoy that time, but I just get frustrated because I can't like reprogram my brain to appreciate that part of the simplicity of the game.
yeah,
And it's a problem that I have and I'm trying to. So if anybody has any suggestions, if anybody has any words of wisdom, I'd love to hear it cuz these are games that I want to experience and I want to play through them and stuff, but I get hung up on the most bullshitty things because I'm so used to how more refined games are now.
yeah.
It's tough.
I think this game in particular is tough to go back to though. Like this game,
A
like
lot of
with
people do say that.
with the way all the backgrounds look so similar. Like it's very hard to tell where on the map you are because like so many of the assets are reused so much throughout the game that it really does look a lot the same in multiple areas. Like the background is black, right? It's just black,
Right.
you know. And then there's no map, and the shooting is rudimentary, right? It's the first time they attempted this, and I just think this one is hard to go back to. It started something really spectacular, and it was really cutting edge at the time, but it was refined by Super Metroid and all the Castlevania or Metroidvanias that came after it. Like you consider the fact that like Ori and the Blind Forest or Grime or Hollow Knight are like the, the result of Metroid. You know,
Mhm.
it started small, but like it did start something.
Right.
But it's hard to go back to it because it's been iterated on so much. I think Super Metroid still stands up though. I think that's still just a fantastic game. Like
Yeah.
you could just jump into it and play it. I think that's true with a lot of like Super Nintendo and Genesis games. Actually, is that they took those concepts that were born on the NES and they just kind of like evolved them to a better place. They
Right.
took those ideas and ran with it. There's tons of great stuff on the NES all by itself, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no improvement on Ninja Gaiden that you can tell me is an improvement. Like, I just
Right.
think that game is almost a perfect thing.
It's very linear, so it's not like you can get lost and
Yeah,
stuff on that game too,
and it just
so
feels good, right? Like the
yeah.
act of jumping and slashing with your sword, like it's only two buttons and it feels fucking awesome. you
Mhm.
know, like you can make
I
you
just
can make
wanna
the graphics better, but you're never gonna make it feel any better.
Right. I just wanna put it out there that I am trying. I am actively trying to, like, reprogram my brain because, like I said before, when I was a kid, like, I didn't play these games. Like, I never played Metroid, I never played Zelda. Like, I played Punch-Out, I played, TMNT, I played Street Fighter. I played, like, pretty linear games because I was young. So I think the concept of these more open world games was tough for me to swallow, and I'd get frustrated and lost and would just stop.
Yeah,
So I don't have that memory of how to fix that, like, until I got to Pokemon, but I had a guide for that, and I played the shit out of Pokemon, and I was trying to collect all 150 Pokemon and all that stuff, so that was probably the first time that I really got that deep into a game.
yeah.
That was much later.
I used to buy a lot of guides.
Yeah.
I used to when I bought the game, I'd buy the guide at the same time because it was games were like they were obscure. There's like
Yeah.
there are secrets that you'd find in a game that how would you possibly know that unless you found had a guide?
Right. But it's also kinda sad because you wanna discover these things on your own too, but it's next to impossible in a certain way.
I don't know. Like I
You
didn't
feel
think of
like
it
you've
as
seen them all.
sad back then though. Like it was just part of like I almost thought it was like a sales tax. It was like like you were expected to buy the guide to find all the secrets. Like otherwise, you just weren't going to find them. Because the internet, you got to think the internet didn't exist yet, or if it did, it was
Mhm.
like I didn't have it. Trust me, right? I didn't have
ASCII
the
code.
internet till I was out of high school.
Mm, wow.
Yeah,
Holy shit. What
right.
year was should I ask you what year what that was?
I don't know that I want to say it.
It couldn't have been maybe you just had the internet late because I
Well, we
don't
were
feel like
poor. We didn't have
oh, okay.
money,
Gotcha.
which is also why we
We
didn't have a lot of games, right?
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of games growing up either, but it was more, we were relatively middle class, but it was more because my mom believed that I would never play them for more than a few hours.
She's probably
So,
right.
yeah, it conditioned us to only like, I was pretty much only allowed to rent a game for 2 days. It was $2 for 2 days, and that was it. Like, that
Yeah.
was my game rental, so I
My
got, like,
Steam
1
library
weekend.
says your mom was right.
I don't yeah, I try not to buy a whole bunch of stuff now other than, the retro game stuff, but I don't buy a lot of new games,
Yeah,
unless I'm super excited about it. But, I did for a while, like, I would pretty much buy anything on slick deals that went on sale, like, "Oh, that's 20 bucks now? Buy," and then it would
yeah,
sit sealed on my shelf forever,
yeah.
you know? Um, yeah,
That
Steam libraries are tough because those sales.
I had a few months when I first discovered limited run where I was just buying everything. I was like, "What am I doing? I don't even like these games."
FOMO!
Yeah, totally. I think that's their business model.
Yep, and nostalgia, FOMO and nostalgia
Yeah,
going hand in hand.
I don't think Metroid is a bad game. It's just that, like I said, it's just been iterated on and improved so much. It's just hard to go back to. And at the time, it was a groundbreaking game. It was a really special game at the
Yeah,
time. Um, it always hold a special place in my heart based on how much I loved it when I was a kid.
yeah,
But it's no Super Metroid.
yep. I'm definitely gonna be getting the Zero Mission, which is kind of the remake of this because I
Yeah, I've
do
never
wanna
played that.
experience the game, but I would a little bit less frustration point. Um, I think they added, like, some more power-ups and stuff to Zero Mission, but I think the story of the game is the same, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's what I read when I was kinda
The
going through the
story
notes.
of the game, the story of Metroid is
I
kind of
mean, like,
like,
there's still, like, whatever 4 bosses, and there's still,
yeah,
I think the map is
Metroids.
very similar, yeah.
I'd like to check that out too, actually.
Yeah. So, I believe Metroid Fusion is the successor of it, it's like the sequel.
Is that
Um,
the Metroid 2 remake?
I guess that's a good question, I don't know.
So Metroid 2 came out on the Game Boy.
Right.
And they've remade Metroid games several times. I know there's a really good one on the 3DS that I can never remember. But the Metroid series is kind of confusing in that way. I'm sure there's a ton of videos that will tell you exactly um, what each one of them was.
Okay, so Metroid's mainline games in chronological order: Metroid/Metroid Zero Mission.
Okay.
So again, Zero Mission's kind of it's basically a remake of Metroid, and then you have Metroid 2 slash Samus Returns for the 3DS.
Yeah, that's
So Samus,
phenomenal.
yeah. And then you have Super Metroid,
hmm Metroid
Metroid
3.
Fusion,
That's Metroid 4, and then Metroid 5 is coming out this year.
yeah.
And then there's the Metroid Prime series that's kind of,
Metroid Other M was apparently after. Wait, this is weird. Or no, so it goes Metroid, Metroid Prime, Metroid Prime Hunters, Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 3, Metroid Prime Federation Force for the 3DS. I'd never heard of that. And then you have Metroid 2. And then you have Super Metroid, then Other M, then Fusion, then Metroid Dread. So Metroid Dread is like straight up the end of everything we've had up to this point,
yeah.
which is super cool.
I love Metroid, but I don't care about the story. Like the it's like trying to figure out the lore
Yes.
of all the different like links in Zelda. You
Yeah.
know, like Nintendo has this like arcing like list of like the specific order of which all these games are in the universe of Legend of Zelda, and I'm like, I think you're making it up. It's bullshit. Like these games
So
have nothing to do with each other.
I guess me saying that I want to experience the story is more like I want to experience the reason why people love Metroid games so much. Like
Yeah,
I want to find that connection and I want to experience that.
yeah,
Which to me, the story, I say story, I mean more just like the progression of the games, right? Which a lot of the Metroid love is more just the progression of it.
yeah.
So not getting stuck at the bullshit, like not having a map and things like that is something that I'm trying to get past.
Metroid 1 was a time and a place, though. It's like you're never going to be back in 1986 and like having never seen a game like this at all. You know, like it's just you can't replicate that.
Right.
Whereas Super Metroid, it's just an awesome, Metroidvania. It doesn't matter when you play it. It's just
Yeah.
that good. Uh should we announce our next game or should we wait till the end of the episode?
So we have our guest,
Confirmed?
but he has not decided what game to play yet
Okay.
because
But
he
he's
actually
confirmed for next time?
he's confirmed for the
Okay.
24th, but he chose Metroid.
Oops.
And I was like, not gonna work.
I mean,
So
I could talk another hour about Metroid, I'll be honest.
I was like, I really need to create a list for folks too, don't I? If I'm asking them what game they'd like to play, we're getting to the point where we've covered a lot of the basics.
I mean, there is a list already.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make like an actual list. I sent him basically screenshots of my Google Drive with the titles of all the folders. So, but I need to make like a formal list, like, hey, these are the ones that we talked about. So damn it to hell, Dammit to Hell is going to be our guest for the episode on the 24th, and he is currently deciding what game to feature.
Okay,
After
we'll
that,
announce that on Twitter.
Briar, what's that?
We'll announce that on Twitter when he
We will announce it on Twitter
yeah,
100%, within the next few days, hopefully. So keep an eye out for that. And then for next episode, Briar has one picked out, but
I do.
I told him to keep it a secret because I don't know what it is.
I kind of want to just like spill the news. Like it's 4 weeks away that we gotta talk about it, but
You wanna hype it up?
I feel like we can spill it because
Is
I
that I
feel like this is as far away from Metroid as we can get.
Do you
Well,
wanna
not
hype it
really.
up, or are you just, like, you don't wanna hold the secret for another 2 weeks?
I don't want to hold a secret.
Alright, so 4 weeks from now,
Four
the
weeks
game
from
that we're
now,
gonna play is
Lightning Force for the Sega Genesis.
holy shit, a shmup?
Yeah, a shmup, right? Like
Okay,
how far away from a Metroidvania can you get other than a shmup? So
yeah.
this is known as Thunder Force 4 in the rest of the world. So if you're from the EU or Japan, it's known as Thunder Force 4. But in the US, it came out as Lightning Force. I think there's more to that name, but Lightning Force for the bulk of it, and it is possibly one of the most beautiful games that came out for the Sega Genesis. It's really cool. Um, and I think it'd be fun to do a palate cleanser from Metroid. Although, who knows what we're going to be playing next week? Something
Yeah.
good, I bet.
Do you know what's
Something
funny
real
about
good.
Lightning Force?
What's that?
I own it, complete in
Perfect.
box. And, like,
I hope
so
it's
the
not
reason I
sealed.
say that's surprising, on my collection list, I own 20 games, and the one that you just chose was one that I've had since, like, 2014, 2013.
Have you ever played it?
No.
Oh, perfect. That's great. What? This is the perfect pick. I pat myself on the back right now.
Yeah, that's so it's called the Lightning Force Quest for the Dark Star, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so 4 weeks. It came out in '92. Tech Technosoft.
yeah.
Let's
This
see.
game is dope. So we'll
Back
we'll play that in 4 weeks. We'll find out what we're playing
4 weeks.
next week when Damn It to Hell comes on. And until then, why don't we do some picks?
Yeah, I got a handful. Did you get anything?
I did, but it's not
Oh.
very interesting because when I put my copy of Metroid into my analog system, I could not get it to work. So I put it in my. I have an actual NES. You can see it right there. It's like right
Mhm.
there. If you're watching the video version right now, I'm poking a figure at the NES that's on the shelf behind me. It didn't work in there either. And I know for a fact when I bought that copy of Metroid, I cleaned the hell out of it and that it was working. So I took the cartridge apart, I cleaned it back up. But what I saw was that one of the pins on the cartridge itself, it was not corroded, but it looked like the corrosion that used to be there had eaten through one of the pins a little bit.
Mm.
So I cleaned it, and I put it back in my NES, and like 1 out of 10 times it would like boot to the title screen.
Mm.
So I went over to my local game store and they had another copy, so I just bought another copy. Metroid's not an expensive game.
It was probably what, $20, a little
Yeah,
under $20.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was just a loose copy.
Yeah. Have you tried when you get to a certain point with those old carts, have you tried a magic eraser cleaner thing?
Yeah,
You
I've
did?
done Magic Eraser. I've done those fiberglass pens, and I've done Brasso. A lot of people tell you not to use Brasso, but I think they're mostly worried about people who don't clean the Brasso off when they're done. So if I use Brasso, I'll clean it with alcohol, then I'll clean it with Brasso, and then I'll clean it again with alcohol to get all the Brasso off.
Mhm.
Usually, I've had the most success with the fiberglass pen and the Brasso, but this one I think the corrosion had at some point gone too deep on the pins.
Yeah, that's what that
Wow.
Super Turrican 2 game that I had was like that, and I was just like, "I don't wanna deal with it." That's why I ended up taking it back. I was like, "It's just too expensive of a game to deal with
Yeah,
like that."
yeah. Metroid is different. It's not that expensive. If
Yeah,
I can repair, I kind of find some enjoyment at it in taking the thing apart, cleaning it all up.
yeah.
I find some enjoyment in that. But if I was looking for an $800 game, I'd be like, this thing's got to be kind of
Like,
good when I get it.
yeah. You're spending if you're gonna for super cheap, it's different, but yeah.
Yeah,
Alright, so that's your pickup?
that was my pickup.
Nice. So now you technically have 2 copies. Did you take
Yeah,
the one that you couldn't get working there at all and tell him
no,
no? They
No, and
might
I
be able to
bought it
do
from there
something to
too,
it.
so they probably would
Yeah.
have like, oh well, here, have another copy because they got like 20 copies of Metroid at any
Yeah.
point in time. You know,
Nice. Oh, I didn't really talk about the fact that there are, um,
2 covers.
so the only other game from the adventure series is Kid Icarus, which would be an
Mm,
interesting game for us to talk about at some point. But
really don't like
the
that
gray
game.
boxes are kind of, so they had the black box games, which was like the first set of games that came out with, and then
Yeah,
the gray box games are kind of the next iteration. So you got like Metroid, Kid Icarus, Castlevania,
Castlevania was by
Contra.
Konami though. It was Silver Box, but it's not the same kind of series, right?
True. I guess Konami has like their own silver box stuff too, don't they?
Yeah,
Um, but there's like a whole series of games that were the silver box, and very similar to the black box games. It's very simple. It's got that like that kind of angled cutout similar to our art for for Twitter and stuff.
yeah,
So that's pretty cool. This is honestly kind of what our art is modeled after, is this whole aesthetic.
yeah. Ash did a fantastic job with our art.
Yeah.
She pulled a lot of different influences in, and it actually took us like a month to figure out all of them. Like, I didn't know there was a CRT TV in our art
Yeah.
for a
Well,
month or two after we started using it.
yeah. And these kind of old screenshots too, they have that kind of CRT bevel to them on the
Yeah,
outside stuff, which is cool. But this box, I think there's, because we've talked about different versions of the black box games. There's like 10 of them. I believe there's like 3 or 4 gray box versions. Mine is, I think, the second one, because it's still got the circle seal, but it says Reve, and it does not have a hang tab. So the first series would be the hang tab ones, the gray with the hang tab. I think I have a couple gray ones with the hang tab. Um, and it wouldn't say Reve down here. And then I believe there's also a gray box with the oval seal. So at minimum there's 3. There might be more, but we talk about um especially with these games that are going for shit tons of money. The earlier versions often are worth more. So if you find one that doesn't say Reve, often they're worth considerably more in the collector circle, if you know who you're doing that to and stuff, or and more rare and less copies and all that stuff, which is also interesting to me. Anyways, I always find
there
that
was
stuff
that yellow and
curious.
orange box too.
Right. So this is the classic series, which is similar to, they have the Zelda classic series as well. And I don't know what year they came out with this. This is 92. So these were like
Oh
really
wow,
late. That's like
Super
when the
Nintendo
SNES
came out in
came out.
'92.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It says the original.
the original.
But yeah, there's that oval seal that I was talking about, if you're watching.
I like the art on that one a lot. I like the way that Samus looks on that cover of
Yeah, it's
that.
very yellow.
Yeah, I like it though. The cartridge itself has that art on it too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a yellow cart as well, which is really interesting. It says Adventure Series on the back too, but it's like a different logo.
Yeah.
This one doesn't say two-player switching like the first one does. Two-player alternating gameplay. It doesn't say that. I know. It's interesting. I don't know how many games are in the classic series, but there's a handful for sure. And so pickups for the week, I have like 7 things, but I got another complete inbox Nintendo DS. This one is like new. I opened it up. It looks like it hasn't been played, and I got it for a great price. The box is in good shape. The DS Lite, again, is one of those revolutionary systems for me for them. You have, of course, the original Game Boy, and then the SP was, I mean, you have like the color too, but the SP was super revolutionary, and then the DS Lite was a huge revolution for me over the fat DS as well. So I kind of have a partialness to the DS Lite. I think I have 4 different colors: red, pink, black, and blue now. I don't know if there was any other ones, to be honest. I'd have to look that up.
There are
Uh,
a lot of special editions? of the DS Lite?
Yeah, there are. I haven't really gotten into those because they can be quite expensive, like the Link and also it's hard to find legitimate ones too because a lot of those have been reshelled with, like, the Link
Ah,
shell and
yeah.
the Lugia Palkia shell and, I think the Mario, the red one with the red M, like, you can buy those shells for, like, $10 and reshell the DS Lite too, and you see those all over on eBay. So, I'd wanna get probably, like, an OG boxed one, but that's you're looking at hundreds of dollars for that, so I'm pretty sure I picked that up for, like, $60. Ah! So, I got this shipped from Canada, Mega Man Zero
Oh,
for the Game Boy Advance. I don't know the significance in the timeline of this game compared to, like, the original Mega Man, but I think it's its own if I'm not mistaken, I think it's kind of its own storyline. 'Cause you have the original Mega Man series, you have the Mega Man X series, and then you have Zero series, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong to anybody, but I bought this, it was like $50, and it came with the cart in the box. And I happened to have the manual because I have, like, a box full of manuals, so I was able to complete it, but this is going for, like, 100 to 150 easy. But I, again, love handheld box stuff, and I think Mega Man Zero 2, but I didn't ever have the first one, so I need to play through this. Just the graphics, like we're talking about those Super Nintendo-esque graphics, everything on the GBA has that kind of look, and
yeah.
this is one of the most highly reviewed.
Have we done
Um,
any GPA games on the show? I don't think we have.
not yet, no. I still have recommended you to get Superstar Saga.
Okay.
I don't know if you've done that.
I've got a ROM of it.
Nice. Uh, we were talking earlier about Virtual Boy
Yeah.
with that book coming out, and I don't know if I've mentioned it. I do already have a complete North American collection of them, but I just happened upon this because I've said before I like sealed games. So this is a sealed copy of Tellero Boxer, and it was in really, really good shape. Um, I got it for $80, which is basically the same price that Complete in Box is going for. So anytime I can find a sealed game for the same price as Complete, I'm gonna pick it up because I that's what I do. Um, so yeah, it's sealed. Have not played it. I can't really play virtual bowl games at all. I need to get like a consoleized version of it, but it's basically a boxing simulator where it's you're behind you're it's excuse me, it's like first person boxing simulator. So when you're using the virtual boy, you can see like your hands and you're fighting a big robotic like boss. And I think there's only it got good reviews. The main criticism of this was it wasn't long enough.
Hmm.
Like it has like 8 fighters that you play against and that's it. Um, but a lot of people said it was super fun. Yeah, I gotta find a consoleized version of it. This is a game that I thought that I had in my possession for years, but I didn't actually. So I was like, well, I have to rectify that. Your favorite, Briar,
Oh,
Battletoads.
those little dicks.
Where Speaking of, so this game is frustrating in different ways because we're talking about Metroid that was frustrating because of like the lack of the map and not knowing where you're going. This game's linear and it plays amazing. It controls great. Like the fighting physics are amazing. Like watching the enemies get bounced off the screen is awesome, but it's just so fucking difficult.
It's so hard. It's
It's
so
just
hard.
difficult.
Yeah. I don't know that
Everybody,
I completely agree that it plays great because I think some of the difficulty comes from the fact that it's very difficult to judge how far you are away from your enemy in the beat 'em up parts, and that sometimes you think it's your turn to fight, but they hit you instead.
yeah. Yeah,
But
and if you get like stunned when you get punched and stuff like that. This is a game
yeah.
that I put a lot of time into as a kid. But I had the cart for some reason. I thought I had it complete in box, but I didn't.
Oh,
And games like
what a
this, I
nice pickup.
have to have because it's such a big part of my childhood. Of
That's a great
course,
box too.
yeah. Everybody remembers the racing part where you basically have to have the whole thing memorized in order to get through it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've wanted to get this complete in box for not very long because I thought I had it. Uh, we've talked about this game before, and now I have the full SNES series complete in box, not assembled in Mexico. So Super Star Wars, the first one from JVC.
Nice.
And these games are actually much better than the NES versions. This is not the best game in the series. I think it was Return of the Jedi was revealed or reveled as the top SNES Star Wars game, but these are pretty awesome like platformy games. And just looking on the back of the box, it's one of those games that has different forms of play. So it's got the 2D side scrolling platformer where you got like all the exploration vertically as well. But it's also it looks like you're in a speeder. There's a shot where you're behind a speeder here. And then there's also like space flight
Yeah, the
stuff.
attack on the Death Star, I think, is in there.
Yeah.
That game's
That's
hard.
pretty yeah, it's pretty cool that they do that though.
Yeah, it looks awesome, and the music sounds great. Like I actually really appreciate the fact that they did a version of the Star Wars music, but on the Super Nintendo, so it just
Mhm.
sounds, it's just sounds like a remix, like a
Mhm.
tune remix of music that you already
Right.
know. Like it's very cool.
I don't know if I've ever played this one. I played one of the Star Wars games for Super Nintendo, but I can't remember which one it was.
I
These
have that
games
whole
are not
series
super
as well. I
expensive
really
either.
like them.
I'm pretty sure all 3 of these games complete in box you can get between like 40 and $80 depending on condition, which to get an in-box game in good shape is pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's like what they originally retailed for, which is funny. Um, I don't know if you've ever played these games. Bubsy and Bubsy 2 for Super Nintendo.
No, I'm lucky enough to have missed those
These are actually reviewed quite well.
by
Um,
morons.
are you gonna you should pull up
They are
YouTube and
famously bad games. Bubsy
what?
3D, Bubsy 2, and Bubsy 3D are famously bad games.
I don't know if I agree with that.
That's okay.
I don't know. If you
We just
agree
got
with
somebody in chat who said, "Are y'all in the pockets of Bungie? We're not even talking about Destiny, you fucking moron. Get out of here."
they're just like not watching, they're just commenting. Fine. Um, I don't know. I thought these games were pretty solid, but I guess you guys have to comment on Twitter or YouTube. What did you guys think of the Bubsy games? Did you enjoy them? They're basically like 2D platformers, and they kind of look and feel like an off-brand Sonic game, mixed with Earthworm Jim is the best way that I can describe them because they're kind of bonkers off the wall and stuff like that. And then you have the fact that he's like, I don't know, Bobcat or something, and he goes pretty quick through some of the stuff. I don't know. Briar's pissed.
Hey, man.
But yeah, these were about the same price. I think I spent like 25 bucks a pop for these, which is not bad. Yeah. Battletoads is pretty expensive, I'm not gonna lie.
Is
I
it?
got it for about 100, but they go for 150 to 250 depending on condition.
Have you played the other versions of that game, like on the Genesis or anything?
I
I
I
don't know if they're
think
any different.
I've played a little bit of the Battletoads Double Dragon,
Mm.
um, for Super Nintendo, which is not bad, but it's weird because 'cause you're, like, in space and stuff.
Did you
Um,
play the new one that just recently came out?
the remake, I think I hold on, I swear I did, but I think I'm blocking it out because it was really fucking hard. Was it for the PC?
I played it on PC. It came out on Xbox Game Pass, I think, for the Xbox and PC.
I have not played this. It looks really good though.
It was all right. There's some charm to it for sure.
It almost looks like it was made by the Castle Crashers.
Yeah, it has a nice art style too, and a pretty fun story mode. It came shortly after Streets of Rage 4 came out. So my beat 'em up kind of muscle had just hit a pretty high bar. Like that Streets of Rage
Right.
4 game. Did you play that?
I haven't, no.
That was really good.
That's what
Um,
everybody says.
and this was more beat 'em up action, but it wasn't as deep. Like it wasn't as I didn't like the actual beat 'em up like action as much in Battletoads remake, but it was still fun and it's kind of wacky, and I thought it, it captured the Battletoads pretty well. Like
Yeah.
it was fun. I liked it.
It looks like they forgot leg day in the new Battletoads, though. Like, if you look at the original Battletoads, they have, they have some thigh and
Yeah,
some legs and some calf, but I'm looking at pictures of the new Battletoads, and literally they're just like sticks for legs
yeah,
and giant flipper feet, and then like huge bulky upper bodies.
yeah.
Very caricaturized. It looks really good though. I will have to check that out. I wonder if it's still on Game Pass.
Probably right.
I mean, sometimes it takes stuff off, right? So I guess I'll have to check.
Yeah, definitely.
And Streets of Rage 4, they had the limited run version of it too, didn't they?
Yeah, I got that. I got the one in the Genesis box too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
I
But I
think it's
played
on
it. I actually
Steam
played
too.
through it before I got the limited run version because I was so excited to play it. It was on Game Pass, so I played it on Game Pass.
Oh, it is okay.
Yeah,
I
and
have
then
Game Pass, so I should definitely check those out.
yeah,
Did you ever end up finishing that one Space Ninja game, whatever it was called?
Space
Like
Ninja game. You're gonna have to be more specific.
the retro.
Oh yes, Cyber Shadow. Cyber
Yes, that
Shadow?
one.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I'm in
It
like
gets pretty tough.
7/10 of the way through or 8/10 of the way through.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know why. Like shit happens and you just stop playing a game and then it's hard to go back.
Something
It's
else came out and took your attention away. Shiny things.
Yeah, I still play it like when I want to show video, like when I'm doing a YouTube video and I want to show some video on my Switch, I'll often boot that game up to show the Switch.
Mhm.
um,
So
but yeah, I
pretty.
haven't beaten it yet. I really want to. Did you beat it?
Uh-uh.
No,
I'm
I
bad
want
about
to.
beating games in general.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
am
have to
too.
force myself to sit down and continue to play it because my
Yeah,
attention wanders. I'm like 99% sure I have ADHD, and it was never like properly recognized when I was a kid and stuff. It would make so much sense.
yeah, um, yeah. I have a similar problem. Like new and shiny is always more attractive.
Yeah, I'm
than,
sure people out there can relate.
yeah. Is that it?
That's
Was
it.
that all of them?
That's all of them.
Okay.
Not like 2 weeks ago, and I'm slowing down too, uh, because shit's getting expensive, and my game fund has kind of run out for the most
Yeah.
part. So this point, I gotta sell some stuff and recoup so I can buy some more.
Well, if you ever select Bubsy to be the game of the week, I'm going to take it as a personal insult, as a crime against humanity.
That like people didn't. Some of the reviews that I saw were decent. I don't know.
I remember it being maybe Bubsy 3D was so bad that it colored my remembering of all Bubsy games, but I thought all of the Bubsy games were pretty bad.
Which one? Bubsy 3D was on the. Oh my god, that looks horrible. That looks hilariously bad. Holy crap. That's like a 3D. Yeah, that's a 3D Bubsy. The original Bubsies were 2D and almost looked like, again, Earthworm Jim had a baby with Sonic. Is basically what it. I mean, like it looks way more charming on the Super Nintendo and Genesis.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh early 3D games do not hold up well.
No, that
There's
was.
a reason that I don't talk a whole lot about PlayStation, N64, and Saturn has a bunch of 2D games, which I think makes it hold up a little bit better than the other two.
I'm gonna put this. You can't look at it in Discord. I'm gonna send you this on Twitter real quick.
Okay.
Um, because this is the first image that popped up when I looked for Bubsy 3D. Just the look in his eyes of terror.
That can't be real. That can't be real.
That's
Is that
true.
really what that game looked like?
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad. Man, that's
His
bad.
eyes are. He's in sheer terror. But like if you Google Bubsy 3D, every picture is like him looking so derpy.
Bubsy 3D was not a good game. A- Activision? Was that Activision or was that
Uh,
Acclaim?
Accolade,
Accolade. I knew it started
same
with an A
company,
for some reason. Weird.
same company
Accolade.
that did it. So you took a 2D platforming company and you try to make a 3D game out of it.
That's what the whole first generation of 3D was on
Yeah.
consoles, right? It's like, I mean, Nintendo nailed it with Mario 64, but everybody else fucked it up. Everybody else fucked it up.
Here's another one, product placement.
I mean, how many bad Castlevania games were on the N64, and how many bad like Mega Man? You know, like
Yeah.
everybody, they were just trying to make everything. What is that? That's
Shout
not
out to
real.
Applebee's.
It's like a picture of a cat smoking a cigarette in front of Applebee's, with like
Oh, boy.
N64 Apple Boy. Oh, that looks terrible.
No, Bubsy 3D looks horrible, but the other ones are not as bad.
Maybe.
I wouldn't say they're like top tier, but if you ever played those, like literally one of the reviews that I said Bubsy should not have been a bargain bin game.
Hmm.
But I mean, like that's what it is. Well, that's
So
what
it's like a
everybody.
modern review.
Yeah, everybody
There's
remembers it for that. But
one of the guys on Digital Foundry, I think Audie. He's a big Bubsy fan, but he's also Dutch.
so now I might have to choose Bubsy one week just to piss Briar off. He's laughing and you can't hear it for some reason. It's not coming through Discord.
There's only two types of people in this world that I despise: people who cannot tolerate other people's cultures, and the Dutch.
Jesus.
That was Austin Powers.
Oh,
A quote from Austin
was that
Powers.
like because he had that character that was like it was like smoking a pancake? Was that
Yeah, it was that
yeah.
movie, Gold Member. Anyhow,
Smoking a
we should
blit?
probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
That was the first Blu-ray I ever owned. Gold Member.
Why do you remember that? That's such a
It
weird
came
thing to
with my
remember.
Blu-ray player. Like it was a
Oh, okay.
pack-in.
It's a
That used to be a thing.
pack-in?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jay, what are you up to for the next couple of weeks? What do you be doing?
We got 2 more weeks of Destiny's season. So at this point, we've been like farming people through some of the encounters to try to get the like time lost Fatebringer and stuff. Last night we did a bunch of runs of that. Just basically I've done everything that I want in the game and just trying to help the community do stuff. So you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at JSniperton. Have been playing a lot of Destiny and whatever game D2H chooses, I probably will play next Monday on stream. But
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing that. That'll be a fun episode too, having a guest on again. We haven't had one since Ryan, right?
yeah, yep, he's been like on tour and stuff, so he's been busy boy.
Too busy for us. He's too big for RetroSlot.
No, he said he'd be down whenever.
All right, thanks guys for watching. Oh,
Wait,
if you haven't seen,
where are you
if
gonna
you
find
haven't
you?
seen yesterday's episode of Side Quest, we had the game director for Grime, which is a brand new, really cool actually, a brand new Metroidvania. It's kind of like a Dark Souls kind of theme to it. It's really cool. It's a fun interview. He really goes into depth about like design decisions and like making a game. It was really fun to listen to. So check that out. We'll be back in 2 weeks with Damn It to Hell. I don't know what the hell I'll be up to for the next 2 weeks. I'm just playing it by ear at this point. Just making shit up.
I can relate to that. I think we all can.
We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.